Team wnax. Joe, Dietrich.
What's up guys, Joe here. Today we're going to be talking about some of the new Ishizu cards from Magnificent Mavens coming out next week. These cards will be legal for YCS Pasadena, which is next weekend. So we're just kind of break down like what the cards do, how you would use them, and then like some standard combos or like things that you can do with them in order to help people do well in events. So first off, we have Agido, where this one says if a card is sent from the hand or deck to your opponent's graveyard, you can spell summon this card. Then you can spell summon a level 4 Earth Fairy monster from your graveyard, except itself. If this card is sent from the hand or deck to the graveyard, you can send the top 5 cards of each player's deck to the graveyard. And then all of these cards have a secondary effect, or I guess in this case a third effect, where if Exchange of Spirit is in your graveyard, you can just send the top 5 cards of either player's deck to the graveyard. So it mills a lot of cards. Essentially, what you're going to be doing with this one is like it's your main extender. So if you have it in your hand and something is milled, a lot of these do the same thing as this one, where you send the top 5 cards of each player's deck to the graveyard. So you're going to be triggering its own effect by milling cards forcibly with your own cards. And then you can special summon a level 4 Earth Fairy monster that you mill, and all of these are level 4 Fairy Earth monsters. So that allows you to make stuff like Dweller or like Redoer, or just have like free link material to make something. So definitely a really good extender. And then obviously, if this card itself is milled, or it's sent from the hand, it mills 5. So definitely one of the better ones. Then we're playing Diviner. So Diviner has a cool effect, obviously. People are playing it in Drytron. You can send Arclight and then increase the level. But it also can send from deck. And since all of these are fairy monsters, you can send all of them from deck, which is pretty neat. And then this card becomes level 6. So you can make it with one of these guys, or like Rhinoheart, or if you like make Mud Dragon or something, it makes it really easy for you to make Baron. So definitely a really cool card. It's also a level 2 initially, so you can summon it back off of Elf, or you can use it as material to make Elf or Spring. Next we have Orange Light. Orange Light's really neat, especially since we have so many fairy monsters. All of these cards are fairies, so it allows us to like negate hand traps, or like serve as a hand trap if we're going second. This also helps us beat Shifter, because that card has been very, very irritating if you've been playing tier recently. I know a lot of people have been playing Sprite cards in their tier deck to help mitigate like Shifter and how much impact it does on your turn. So next up, we have Kelbek. This card is pretty similar. It says if a card is sent from the hand or deck to your opponent's graveyard, you can target one opponent's special summon monster. And then special summon this card, then you return the targeted monster to the hand. So it's a compulse on summon, which is pretty cool. And then the secondary effect is if this card is sent from the hand or deck to the graveyard, you just mill 5 for both players. And then the last effect is if Exchange of Spirit is in the grave, you can set a trap from your graveyard, which is pretty cool. So yeah, it's just another one of those cards that lets you mill 5. Essentially, what you're going to be doing is like sending this one off of Diviner if you have this in your hand, because if you send Agido off of Diviner, Agido cannot summon itself, except for Agido here. So that allows you to like make a rank 4 or make Baron plus another material pretty easily. Next we have Keldo, and Mudora, I believe that's how you pronounce it, are 2 different ones. These are like the defensive ones, so they both have the quick effect to shuffle back stuff from the graveyard when they're in the grave, so that's pretty cool. This allows your tiers to miss if your opponent, if you're playing the mirror or something like that. So discard one other Earth Fairy monster, special summon this card from your hand, and then add an Exchange of Spirit, or a card that mentions it. And all of these cards mention Exchange of Spirit, kind of like Albion does. It mentions Fall of Malbaz, or Ecclesia does. So really cool effect that allows you to search out whichever one you're missing, or whichever one you need in your hand. And then it has the quick effect here. And then you can banish this card from your field or graveyard, so it works like kind of Ghost Ogre, right, where you can use it from the field. And then target up to 5 cards in any graveyard, shuffle them into the deck. If Exchange of Spirit is not on the field or in your graveyard on the activation, it's just 3. So it becomes a little worse if you don't have Exchange of Spirit, but it still does what it's supposed to do. 3 is usually more than enough because, you know, at most you can trigger 3 tier monsters at the same time, right? I guess Rhino Heart, but it's not a real tier effect. And we have Mudora. You can discard it, or discard another Earth, special summon this card from your hand, then place a Gravekeeper's Trap from your deck face up in your spell and trap card zone. So it allows you to place this new card, which is Gravekeeper's Trap, that we'll go over in a little bit. So that's pretty neat. Then you can manage this card from the field or graveyard, target up to 5, shuffle them back, and then if you don't have Exchange of Spirit, it's only a 3. So pretty much the exact same as Keldo. And you have a pretty standard like tier lineup, 3 of everything. You're milling like your whole deck, so you want to maximize milling as many tiers as possible. The non-engine cards like Droplet, Talents, Super Poly, all like definitely probably cuttable. We'll have to see like how oppressive the engine is, because we could definitely get to a point where like non-engine just isn't even needed, because like the engine just plays through everything. So obviously the really good cards, Instant Fusion and Planet. Planet allows you to dodge stuff like Ghost Reaper on your kits, with some really cool lines with Kaleido Heart, so definitely needed card. And then Scream, getting them like be able to maximize your amount of mills, and also the attack modulation is super relevant in the mirror, so you always want to have either this or Planet or both to be able to beat over guys. Then we have Exchange of Spirit, so this card is kind of like a Garnet, obviously, but you don't have to play it. It just makes some of your cards better. We can go over it quickly, though. It says if both players have 15 or more cards in their graveyard, pay 1,000 life points. Each player swaps the cards in their graveyards with the cards in their deck, and then shuffles their deck. You can only activate 1 Exchange of Spirit per duel. So I believe this has been errated. It was once per turn or something like that, but it has been changed to this now. So still kind of a crazy effect that swaps your entire graveyard with your deck. So you know, if you have a bunch of tiers or something like that, or a bunch of dead cards in your grave, or you've shuffled back your tiers already, it allows you to just use them again, so that's pretty neat. Next over, Gravekeeper's Trap. This card is really crazy. So while Exchange of Spirit is in your graveyard, your opponent cannot activate card effects in the graveyard or special summon monsters from the graveyard. So it's like Dweller, but a lot better. And you can only use each of the following effects of the Gravekeeper Trap once per turn. During the main phase, you can discard a card as cost, so it does not trigger tier monsters if you're discarding. And then add a Gravekeeper's monster or 1 Earth Fairy monster from your deck to your hand. So you can discard one of the Ishizu cards, and you can search for one, so that's pretty cool. And then after you do that, during your opponent's draw phase, before they draw, if this card is already face up in the field, declare a card name, look at your opponent's draw for the normal draw. If it's the declared type, send it to the graveyard. So that's pretty cool. Just getting free information is super important. And then lastly, we have Crime and Sulik. Both of these being searchable off of Kit, obviously, and then when we mill Scream, it allows us to search these as well. So definitely some really cool interactions we can do with some of these cards. In terms of the X deck, it's pretty standard. Nothing super crazy. Baron, obviously, super powerful with stuff like Diviner. And the reason I am playing 3 is because I do want to maximize my chance of milling it, not necessarily opening it. Opening it is great, but you can clump on normal summons with stuff like Rhino Heart. So like if you mill this, you can always spell summon it back off of Elf. So that makes it really good. So if you have any other questions about the new cards, please let me know in the comments below. I hope I helped people kind of understand what the new cards do. I know people have been saying these cards are like super tier 0 and insane and crazy. And I agree, they're definitely really strong. But like hopefully having some knowledge of what they do helps you as you like prepare for events. So yeah, thank you so much for watching.